All right guys, so in today's video, really my favorite video we've done to date on how the right arm or trail arm works during the downswing. There's three moves, three little micro moves we go over in detail that are gonna really help you shallow out the downswing shaft, get the shaft and impact, and really, more importantly, get the consistent golf swing, get the consistent contact and compression that's reliable, that shows up day in, day out, that I know that we all want. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. All right, so I've been waiting probably literally 10 years to find a right wrist training aid that I would fall in love with. I have this precision impact training aid that I have been testing now for the past couple of months to make sure I like it. This right wrist training aid, I'm telling you, I've tried them all, is unbelievable. You put this on your right wrist and you'll notice when I make a backswing, it gives me some auditory feedback and I can set my right wrist about as far back as I can, and it locks that angle in. And it enables you to create the right wrist bend during the backswing, and also because of this little ball here, I can go up and down when I do it. It's absolutely freaking brilliant, and I've been using this a lot. It's gonna help your impact a ton. You go down below, you click the little link down there for Precision Pro, and you grab one of these. I'm telling you, you're gonna love it. There's a little coupon code in there. You get 20 bucks off. Keeping the right wrist bent back, okay, is the key. There's really three parts to how the right arm works to start the downswing that's going to influence the angle that the shaft goes on and whether it shallows or not. So before we dig into those three, let's just confirm what we mean by a shallow shaft. And I'm actually going to bring in this little extra club here just to give a better visual, and we'll put some visuals on the screen. When I say a shallow shaft and what we're looking for, the end net goal here at left arm parallel during the downswing, you can see with the stick outside the butt of the club, and again, some of the visuals we'll put on here. A shallow shaft is a shaft where the butt of the club points just outside the ball target line. So let me pull this a little bit longer and see if you can see this. So you see how that points just outside the ball target line. That would be a sufficiently shallow shaft. Once I get to last parallel, club head's just inside my hands. So that's really what we're looking to do. You'll see in these visuals, if I drew a line up the shaft, how the shaft starts to just pitch slightly behind that. The shaft gets under my shoulder, about in line with the mid part of my bicep, in line with my forearm, inside my hands. You'll see that in the examples. That's what we're looking for. At the end of this video, we're gonna give put a card on the screen for a why shallowing is important video we did with John Bierkin at the end. But there's three right arm pieces we're looking to do to create that motion. Two of them initiate most of the shallowing. One of them has to do with the club face. So the three things are the wrist extension, so the right wrist bends back more, number one. Number two, there's supination, which is a palm up towards the sky motion. And number three is external rotation, which is the right elbow squeezing in closer to the left. So we have the wrist motion, the arm rotation, and then the elbow, wrist, forearm, elbow. Now, the forearm and elbow piece are the pieces that flatten the shaft angle out. So if we pull this example up again to see, and I go to the top, supination would be the first piece. So that is me feeling like my palm is gonna point more up towards the sky. Now notice with the yellow shaft when I do that, I'm exaggerating here, how that makes the butt of the club point way more outside the ball line. So it feels to me like that forearm and that palm are gonna point more up towards the sky. That's a piece that will shallow it. External rotation, which is me pulling my right elbow in front of my wrist, right elbow in towards my left, also a piece you can see by the shaft that will shallow it. Now, one of the questions that comes up a lot is, hey, Eric, if I feel a little bit of this supination, if I feel a little bit of this external rotation, yeah, I see that that shallows the shaft, but what about the club face is wide open? There comes part number three, which is right wrist extension, which is you bending back the right wrist as you do it. So you can see as I do that motion, as I bend back my right wrist, what starts to happen, this motion here, what starts to happen is my club, let me move this out of the way, starts to get square. So as I bend back my right wrist, you can see that that motion gets the toe more in front of the heel. That's the piece that squares the club face up. So as I'm starting to work through and feel these, the right wrist bends back, that keeps the toe on top of the heel. The right forearm points up towards the sky. That shallows the shaft. And the right elbow squeezes in towards the left. So I'm going to start to hit here. Right wrist back. And this forearm going up, the supination, is really the piece you're likely feeling the least. You should be feeling the right elbow working in towards the left the most, and the right wrist bending back the most. Those two, the external rotation, be the primary piece, and the right wrist back. Let's go ahead and hit some with that. Right wrist back, forearm up, elbow in. And what I'm going to start to feel when I do this, I'm really feeling that right away when I start my downswing. So I'm not feeling it before I finish my backswing. I'm not feeling it halfway down. It's really the first motion. Bend the wrist back, squeeze the right elbow in towards the left, and feel like this forearm points up towards the sky. Those are the feels with my right arm to shallow the shaft. Now, how much you have to do, and those are nice little draws, which is what you should get when you do it well. How much you have to do depends a lot on where you're coming from. If you're very steep, steep being defined as this butt of the club pointing inside this ball target line, shafts above my shoulder through my neck. We see this all the time on CogornoGolf.com. I need to probably feel this a lot here. Now, where I actually want the shaft to get is just barely outside in a real swing. So the shaft's under my shoulder through my bicep, down my right forearm, inside my hand. So we encourage our players to record their swings and correlate what level of exaggeration I have to feel. You might need to feel like the shaft's like horizontal, crazy. Now, do I actually want you to get there in a real swing? No, but if I'm too steep, I may need to feel that, right, way inside here just to get to neutral. And you don't need to feel all three. You know, you might feel just one to start. Me in particular, I really feel like the right elbow's getting closer to the left. I feel like I'm keeping the elbow in front of the wrist for longer. I'm someone who tends to get a little too internally rotated. So my right elbow goes back, the shaft steepens. As my right elbow goes forward, the shaft shallows. Elbow back, shaft steep, bad. Elbow forward, shaft back, good. So the elbow squeezes in towards the right, really in that transition phase. And that's a really nice feel for me. Now, if you're feeling the elbow in, and that's still not shallowing it, that's where I would start. Then I would add the supination. Then I feel the palm up, right? The forearm up towards the sky. So I'd go elbow in first, then add the forearm, right? That's a little exaggerated on purpose. Elbow in, forearm up. Yeah, it feels really nice. And if I'm doing that, and my club face is too open, or the ball's curving too far to the right, which those weren't, those were nice, no big deal. But if they were curving too far to the right, then I would add more of the right wrist bent back in. But again, I'm looking on camera, shaft under shoulder, through the trail forearm, in front of the hands. Now, do you have to feel right arm to start down? No. Can you? Yes. Those are the three that are going to affect it. If my right wrist doesn't bend back, it bends forward. The face opens, the shaft gets steep. Right wrist bent back helps. Forearm rotation, external rotation. Now, some players or people say, hey, listen, you really only want to shallow the shaft with good body motions. Here's what I'd say about that. If you have good body motions and the shaft shallows, great. You don't have to think about anything. If you have decent body motions or not, and the shaft doesn't shallow, you're not going to be able to just think about your body and the shaft's going to magically shallow back. I've done this with literally hundreds, maybe thousands of people. You're likely going to have to manually do it in the beginning, start slow, maybe even pause at some spots, right? Record yourself, be able to do it at 50% speed, then start to ramp up the speed. That's shallowing the shaft. Those are the three right arm motions. Do it to the point where you hit the checkpoints in real speed. Do it to the point where you hit the checkpoints in real speed. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment down below. If you want to send your swings in, CogornoGolf.com, we can work together. We're going to put another card on the screen as to why shallowing is so important, and one for CogornoGolf.com. We'd love to see you there.